Hello everyone, this is Douglas E. Welch and welcome back to another episode of In the Garden for a Gardener's Notebook. For more information, you can visit the website at douglasewelch.com. There you'll find links to a gardener's notebook as well as everything else that I do, including career opportunities, technology, IQ, careers in new media, and more. Well, as you can probably hear in my voice, there's a reason that I haven't been producing a lot of videos lately. Like most everyone else in the U.S., it seems I have my winter cold. My son brought it home from school one day, and of course he's gotten over it, but it's lingering on with me and moved down into my chest today. That said, as you can see here on the onions, we actually got a ton of rain here in California. In fact, here's a joke that you don't often see out here in California, but I'm actually wearing my wellies out in the garden today. Don't get a lot of opportunity to do that here. We simply don't get enough rain. But boy, despite being in a drought, all the rain decided to come at once, and we had several inches of rain in the last several days, and the ground is just soaked. Now, something I had noticed before the rains came is we're actually finally seeing some of the potatoes come up. We got one here, and one over here. I honestly did not think these were going to come up at all. They took a long time, even though we had been watering this area. I figured they just rotted in the ground, but all of a sudden I looked out one morning and there was a splash of green here in the bed, and up come our white potatoes. So this is our retrofitted bed that we put over top of the azaleas, and it should have a nice base. It's got nice soil, it's got a little bit of fertilizer in here, and so I'm hoping we'll get a nice crop of white potatoes out of this. We got some white potatoes in the sweet potato bed over here a while ago, but it hit that clay pan and kind of stopped them in their tracks. But as you can see, the sweet potatoes are continuing on. These are again just reseeded sweet potatoes from our previous attempts, and we're just letting them grow. And then in this middle area where we harvested last, I'm probably going to have to put something new into that area, because the sweet potatoes that I pushed back in the ground, you know what, I love this when I'm doing a video live and I happen to notice something. I didn't think any of those sweet potatoes were coming up, but look at that right there. That's a new sweet potato coming up in this part of the bed. That is great. Maybe we'll see a few more come up as well now that I've seen those. Wow, that is great news, and something that will lead to even more food production here in the garden. And here in the potato bed, you might have also seen our little lavender cuttings. These are just about big enough. I think we're pretty much ready to bring up the cages around these. We have those there just to protect from the digging animals, and you might see the holes that they've dug in this bed previously, but I think they're big enough now that they'll be able to deal with pretty much whatever comes their way. So we'll probably take these cages off and use them on something else in the garden. As I showed at the beginning of the video, these are the onions again. These are going pretty well. We've lost quite a few in the middle of this bed. I'm not quite sure what happened. We did have a lot of digging again in here, so it's possible that they simply just got turned up and eaten or otherwise destroyed. But with that said, there's a lot of big onions growing this time around, where we got a bunch of small ones last time, so hopefully that'll lead to a more substantial harvest down the road. Of course, one of the most important things to remember when you do get a lot of rain in your garden is to turn off your automatic watering systems. In this case, I've left the timer on, let it continue its cycle so I don't have to reset it, but I've actually turned the water supply off. So that means that in about 2 weeks, I'm going to put a reminder in my calendar and my iPhone to ping me. In about 2 weeks, I think with all the rain we got, that's probably the earliest at which we'd need to start our supplemental irrigation again. Perhaps even longer. We did get so much rain. Our Rapel lepus blooms are looking quite nice. These always put on a nice show this time of year every year. They're kind of hedge trimmed into these geometric shapes here in the garden. There's two kind of plus sign shaped beds here, but they always turn off these lovely pink flowers, and it's just a nice thing to have in the garden. Basically no maintenance. I prune these back once a year or so after they've done blooming, but that's about it. I do notice they get some berries on them, and in fact I see some. Here you can see some of the blackberries that form after the blossoms have faded. I believe I've seen some of the animals eating these, some of the birds and such. So it appears to be some sort of food source for the animals, so that's always a good thing to have in the garden too. As you can see, the skies are still pretty cloudy here. We're seeing some scattered showers today. I don't think we're going to get the type of rain that we had over the last couple of days, which actually caused a small bit of flooding in the back garden. Most of my garden is permeable though, so luckily the water does percolate down into the soil and doesn't tend to run off, thank goodness. It's only when it rains so heavily that we get a little backup on the back patio. Here in our strawberry container, things are going really, really well. I'm seeing actually more flowers this year than I've seen in any of the past years with these. I see some small fruit starting to form there already, and if we look down here towards the bottom of the pot, we can actually see a fairly substantial sized strawberry already growing down there. Again, with these, it's our goal to get them as soon as they're ripe so the squirrels don't get them, the other animals don't get them. We usually get a few handfuls of berries, but with this amount of flowers, we actually might see a decent harvest. And finally, the chive flowers continue to bloom here in the herb container with the parsley there in the background, the oregano on the left. Things are going really well in this pot, and it's becoming very, very low to no maintenance as well, like much of the other things I like in my garden. I like enjoying my garden, not working in it. I'll call myself the lazy gardener, as I have in various columns in the past. And this is a great example of what you can do. Is once you get something going, you can just kind of continue on its own. I want to thank you for watching this episode of In the Garden. Hope you enjoyed it. I think it's time for me to head back inside, grab a nice cup of tea and a warm blanket and rest up a little bit more. Almost over the cold, but don't want to be out in the damp and the wind too much today. For more information, you can always visit the website, douglasewelch.com. It's been a pleasure to have you here. If you do like this video or found it useful, please give it a like on YouTube. It really helps other people discover our videos there as well. Until next time, stay dry and keep on digging.